All right. Great. Thanks, everyone. So first, I do apologize because I'm about to put the agenda link in the chat, but I made it last minute because we changed what we're talking about a little bit and it's not translated to Spanish. So my apologies on that. There are a lot of links, so we can still click to stuff, but um, yeah, so go ahead and if you have access on a computer, click on the agenda for today and we can follow along just because we do have some links to look at if you'd like. First, we're going to talk about site visits with our state and federal delegation. Really exciting. The state visits can probably hold off for our not main priority right now as they can be through the fall. But the federal visits with our congressional members from the Senate and House will hopefully be in August when they're on recess. So we would really like to get those planned as soon as possible and start generating some interest and seeing who would be interested in volunteering for that. So I might share my screen too. Let's see here. Okay, can everyone see that? Cool. So if we go here, I made a brief spreadsheet that can be a place to just sign up if you are having interest or if you have any questions for what a site visit might look like. If you want to share this with other people too, you're welcome to do that. But if you do have any interest in a site visit, we can just have people add their name and what their site is, whether it's a farm, food hub, double up site, or whatever else you think might be important for your legislator to come out and see. And then, of course, your contact information. And then either if you know, or we can help you find your federal and state districts so that whether you sign up now for federal or maybe later for state, we can have that on hand because they are different districts. And then here specifying what type of farm it is or what type of store it is or any specific interests. And then also whether you need support to do this or if you're just going to do it by yourself, what support you might need, if you have any questions or ideas. And then you can put in there too if you would prefer to have state or federal legislator come visit or both. So I'm not sure if anyone on the call right now is interested, but if you have any questions or think so, feel free to just unmute and ask away. I'm also going to send that link out in the recap email. So time to think about it and time to share it with other people too. But obviously it's about to be July. So we would love to get these August site visits in place as soon as possible. We will also hopefully be having the later July feedback call available for helping plan site visits for anyone that does sign up. So keep that in mind on your calendars. If there's no questions or thoughts on the site visit part, we can move on to the next part with marker bills. Oh, cool. Thanks, Evan. That's awesome. And is it okay if we add that to the chart just to, okay, cool. I can add that later. Thanks.
Yeah, this is Evan. I would need to speak with our executive director, Stacy, but everything points to her being supportive of the idea. And if she's too busy, I'm able to do something on an individual level.
Cool. Okay, great. Thank you. That's awesome. So next for marker bills, I'm probably just gonna go to our marker bill tracker here to look over the summaries together, but there have been 2 new bills introduced. One is the Increasing Land Access, Security and Opportunities Act. I keep calling it the Lasso Act because it's a lot easier to say, but this is something that National Young Farmers and Evan is working on a lot. It's also in Nourish Colorado's Farm Bill platform in terms of ensuring equity for agriculture and farm workers and helping people access land more easily. Sorry, whenever I share my screen, I have trouble clicking my tabs. But
while you're scrolling, Becca, I just want to give a shout out to how amazing this document is and how much you put into it and how much use I have gotten out of it. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'm so glad that you use it. That makes me really happy. I appreciate that. I use it a lot too. And I do keep adding to it. So keep using your Control F. But here, there's a few variations, different one-pagers and summaries have been coming out about this bill, and I'll definitely let Evan chime in and give more of a summary here. But if you're interested, I did write some of the main things that it focuses on. Evan, would you like to explain what you think is the best short summary here?
Yeah, thank you for letting me chime in. So this has been a really long ongoing effort, and it is so exciting to see this officially becoming a marker bill. I can't tell you how happy it makes me. Essentially, the whole thing with the Lasso Act is it's meant to create a permanent version of the Land Capital Market Access Program that happened last year as like a one-time funding of $300 million that went to 50 different organizations across the states and territories. And all of those projects, I don't know if you have the link in this document because this document looks amazing and I wouldn't be surprised if you did, Becca. But I'll drop it in the chat when I'm done talking in case you haven't seen the winners. It is some really incredible projects that got funded. And the whole goal of the funding is that it's meant to go towards the creative work that is already ongoing around the country that people are trying to implement to keep farmland from not growing food anymore, and also to make sure that folks who have historically not had the same access level to farmland can be on the land. So it's just addressing so many different important things. And just to name a couple of like really crazy projects, there's one recipient of the Land Capital Market Access Program. It's a bank run through a tribal nation that's going to do 0% interest loans for tribal members to buy land. And they're using their funding to essentially buy down the risk so that they can just make loans where folks don't have to have interest. And that's just incredible, right? And so the whole thing with this marker bill is that it's taking this one-time bold program, this one-time investment of $300 million that USDA made, and saying this shouldn't be a one-time thing. This is something we want folks to know they can count on to continue this work every year. And how it's written currently is that it will be $100 million each year between now and 2028. That will be just like a recurring grant cycle for organizations, tribal entities. I mean, who can apply it? It's very broad, right? But anything that has to do with keeping farmland in the hands of farmers, and specifically in the hands of farmers who have some of the most disadvantages because of just, the structure of agriculture in our country, keeping them on the land, which is so needed and exciting. And and I'm also happy to answer questions people have about this, because I realize if you're not super familiar with like farming or land access issues, it can seem maybe like confusing. So just happy to have an open dialogue if anyone's curious about anything.
Awesome. Thanks, Evan. I really appreciate that. And I will flag too that there is a whole toolkit created by National Young Farmers on this bill. And Evan, I didn't talk to you about this yet. We do want to have a special feedback call just to talk about this toolkit and mobilizing on this bill. So I'll leave the details for later, but just know you can access it. And it's in the agenda right here. So feel free to check it out beforehand, and we will probably do some more feedback chatting about this amazing toolkit as well and how to mobilize and ask your members of Congress to get on board. Is there any questions about that bill or comments? Cool. So the second bill that was recently introduced is about the GusNIP program, which is very exciting. But I want to initially note this isn't the GusNIP Act that we're waiting for. So this has been introduced by Senator Booker. It's called the OSNAP, Close the Fruit and Vegetable Gap Act, which is really fun to say. And it's a pretty progressive and much over the top version of what we hope to be introduced soon. And what I've talked a lot about with creating the fourth tier for GusNIP and reducing match requirements, increasing program funding. So this bill, the OSNAP bill, would remove all matching requirements and increase the funding a lot. So essentially what we've heard from our federal partners is we do not expect this bill to get into the Farm Bill. It's a little too futuristic, I guess I could say, or something that we hope would happen eventually, but not this Farm Bill session. But it's still really great that it has been introduced, because it shows what people are wanting, and it's good to have that on the table. So that is also in here. If you want to read more about that, these are the specifications. Yeah, no local match, appropriations to 100 million per year, and mandatory funding increasing up to $1 billion by 2028. So really exciting to see that introduced, but not exactly the bill we're waiting for. And speaking of the bill we're waiting for, there is an action item down here. So I sent this out on Monday, I believe, to everyone in FABAT. So you have already seen this, but there is a sign-on letter for the soon-to-be introduced GusNIP bill that we've talked about a lot from Fair Food Network, who is the main national leader of this marker bill. And they have created a sign-on letter that organizations and businesses only, not individuals, can sign on to and ask your members of Congress to support this bill. So I would like to take a second right now to let anyone do this who hasn't done this already, if you're a part of an organization or business that would be interested. And here is the link if you can't access the agenda, right in the chat there. Oh, thanks, Jess. Love that. Woohoo.
Yeah, I was very excited. I was hoping we would see Common Spirit on a national level sign on. There might just be too much going on at the moment for that to happen, but 3 states is pretty good.
3 states.
So Centura is in Colorado, Utah, and Kansas.
Okay, thank you. That's a good clarification. But yeah, please take a minute to do this if you have a computer available to do it and you have an organization or business that would be interested. If you have any specific questions too, you can reach out to Mark Nicholson from the Fair Food Network. He's really great and is always happy to answer any questions or talk to people about this too, especially what's going on at the federal level.
Yeah, thanks for sharing this, Becca. And is there a specific bill attached to this, or is that yet to be introduced? So we don't have a bill name yet.
Correct. There's
Okay.
not a bill yet. So this right here is what we're waiting for. And we expect it to be introduced by Senator Hirono, and a few others, but there's a drafted bill. And then I have what we expect it to include once it is introduced. So not quite yet, but it should be soon.
Great, thank
Yeah.
you.
Can I give a little update on that, Becca?
Please, yeah.
Well, it's not much of one, but it's, yeah, Senator Hirono from Hawaii is a Democrat and is been looking for a very long time for a Republican co-sponsor for this bill. Still hasn't found one, but is going to introduce just a Democrat-led bill in the next week or two if they can't secure a Republican co-sponsor. So it's coming soon, regardless. And then you may have said this, Becca, and I apologize. It's Kildee and Crawford. So it is a bipartisan bill in the House led by Senators Kildee and Crawford. Senators, wow, Representatives Kildee and Crawford.
I just added those details in so we all can see it. Alrighty, awesome. Thanks, everyone. So if anyone else wants to add anything for market bills right now, feel free to chime in, but those were the two that I wanted to address today. If not, we can move on to a little bit of updates from the state legislative session. So anyone that was here 2 weeks ago or so might remember that Emma Bleisner from Strategies 360 presented the general overview of how the state session went in terms of what's going on in food policy. They've also very kindly created for us the legislative session report, and it's in the agenda right here. So y'all can definitely link to that and check it out if you're interested. I know that I'm a policy nerd, but I found this really, really interesting. The whole first part is the 2023 overview, just generally what happened, who was involved, what it looked like financially, budget-wise, what bills passed, how many were vetoed, which was a crazy number, things generally. And then we do have specifics for all the bills that we were tracking or monitoring as Nourish, which are probably all pretty relevant for anyone on this call too. So I won't read it right now, obviously, but if you want to check it out yourself, you're welcome to do that. Or if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out. It's definitely nice to see it written down of what all happened, what was passed, what didn't pass, and how the session went. Does anyone have any thoughts on the state session or questions about this document?
Becca, I should know this. That we can, if we haven't already, we can put a link to this on our policy page on the website, share the link.
I think so. I actually wasn't sure about that because she said we could share it with the BAT, but I don't know if we can share it publicly with
Oh,
everyone.
like that broadly. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure. That's a good question though to ask her.
Because it's a nice summary.
Totally.
Yeah, we'll ask and just see if we can put it on our policy webpage.
Yeah.
Cool.
Probably, but okay, awesome. Thanks everyone. I really appreciate that I can always take these slow and just let it all soak in for everyone as we chat. It's never too rushed. But we can definitely head out early if no one has anything else to add or discuss or have questions about. But if not, there's a few things today, so whatever anyone wants to talk about, I'll stay here. And thanks for recording, Laurel.
I've got one actually, Becca. I know this is a report on the legislative session. What are sort of the next steps on some of the things that passed? Is that outlined in this document, or is where would you recommend looking for that kind
In
of
terms of like rules that will be promulgated or programs that will be created, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of would depend on each one. So if we look at 1008, for example, here, I'll share my screen again. It specifies like the things that will be created. So we kind of just have to wait for the implementing agency to do that. From what I understand, Wendy, definitely chime in if you know something more than me, but I think we'll hear from agencies now directly, and you can definitely find the rules once they are promulgated. I don't think any are yet that I know of. And once the next step is that the agencies that are in charge of this law, for example, will take over and begin creating the programs or new aspects of the program, probably updating through their newsletters. And finding the rules is not very fun, but that's something that I could do if people are interested in that.
Well, and if there's other entities already doing it too, don't feel like like it's an ask on you, Becca.
Yeah. I don't know if there are, to be honest, like updates on here are the rules. Wendy, do you know if they do that?
Sorry, I spaced out. Update what rules or share updates on what rules?
Yeah, like there's no organization or entity that sends out like, oh, these rules were promulgated now. That's kind of up to you to just go find them.
Oh, yeah.
Or the
I mean-
agency's newsletters, maybe.
Yeah, they probably do.
Okay.
But probably just exactly if you happen to get like CDA press releases and CDA newsletters, and
Mhm.
then you would probably hear when rules, yes. Like for example, on SB 87, like the Ag Worker Bill of Rights, like I see those kind of promulgated rules as they come out all the time because I get those communications. And I'm on listservs that share that kind of stuff. So it's good. It's probably agency by agency. But yes, they probably will do some sort of announcement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question, because I was wondering that too for some of them. How do I find what they're doing now? Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you all being here. And I'll send out the recap with all of these links. Probably just going to send the agenda, honestly. And hopefully we'll get some more in there for the site visits. That's definitely our number one priority right now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Becca.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Bye.